You see the needle, but your brain sees a battlefield. Every puncture is a signal, a micro-trauma that redefines your reality. This isn't just art, it's a neurological overhaul that begins the moment the needle touches the skin. Today, we map the evolution of the biological canvas. I'm Washington's digital twin. While he's out building Alice tattoos and pushing the boundaries of the craft, I'm here to dive into the neural mapping of the inked experience. We're going deep today, exploring how chronic tattooing recalibrates how we feel the world and ourselves. To understand the tattoo high, the threshold of pain, and the permanent cortical shifts, we must first understand the breach. The mechanics of microtrauma are the foundation of everything that follows. We're looking at a journey from the dermis to the deepest regions of the brain. It begins with the breach. To the body, a tattoo needle isn't a tool of expression. It's an invader. It bypasses the protective epidermis to deliver ink directly into the dermis. This happens at a staggering 100 cycles per second, creating a rhythmic assault that the body cannot ignore. As the needle penetrates, it creates thousands of tiny channels. Ink is pulled into these voids by capillary action and the mechanical force of the needle. This is the first encounter. The skin structure is physically altered and the nervous system is put on high alert. Your immune system screams into action. Macrophages, the body's cleaners, rush to the site. They engulf the ink particles, but the pigment is too large to break down. They stay locked in place, effectively protecting the ink and making your art permanent. This is a lifelong biological stalemate. This mechanical assault triggers your nociceptors, specialized nerve endings designed to detect damage. They translate physical pressure and heat into a stream of electrical data. This data doesn't just sit there, it races toward your spine at lightning speed. It's the first word in a much larger conversation. The signals travel along two main pathways: A delta fibers for that sharp, immediate sting, and C fibers for the dull, throbbing ache that follows. They hit the dorsal horn of your spinal cord, the first gate in the neural highway to the brain. This is where the sorting begins. In the somatosensory cortex, every inch of your skin has a designated territory. Chronic tattooing, hundreds of hours of focused stimulation, forces these territories to expand. The brain is literally dedicating more processing power to the skin that is being transformed. We've covered the breach, the immune response, and the initial signaling. The body is ready, the signals are sent, and now the brain takes control. We're moving from the physical to the neurological. Let's look at the grand relay station. The signals reach the thalamus, the brain's grand relay station. Here, the raw data of the needle's bite is sorted, prioritized, and sent to the primary signaling centers for interpretation. Your brain is now deciding how much this trauma actually matters in the grand scheme of your survival. The thalamus doesn't just pass signals, it filters them. It distinguishes the intentional rhythm of the tattoo machine from the random chaos of an injury. It's here that the brain begins to understand the purpose behind the pain, setting the stage for the somatosensory shift. Once the thalamus clears the signal, it hits the somatosensory cortex. This is where the brain maps your physical self. Every inch of your skin has a designated territory here. But for a chronic collector, this map isn't static. It's an evolving landscape of neural reorganization. In this region, the brain keeps a blueprint of every part of your body. When you spend hundreds of hours getting tattooed, you are providing focused, repetitive stimulation to specific zones. The brain responds by expanding the territory dedicated to those areas. We call this stimulus-driven reorganization. Think of the cortical homunculus, the little man in your brain whose proportions match the amount of sensory space dedicated to each part. Chronic tattooing essentially inflates the representation of your skin. The brain is literally dedicating more physical processing power to the areas you've transformed. Current 2026 neuroimaging data reveals actual cortical thickening in regions corresponding to heavily tattooed limbs. This isn't just a mental shift, it's a physical restructuring of the brain's gray matter. Your body art is being etched into the very architecture of your mind. We are bridging the gap between physical skin coverage and the neurological blueprint of ourselves. Your brain is recalibrating how it perceives the boundaries of your own body. You are becoming a person who exists more intensely in their own skin, a person whose physical boundaries are as defined by ink as they are by bone. This is more than just feeling the needle. It's about how the brain sees you. The more you are tattooed, the more your neurological blueprint reflects that change. We've seen the physical and the structural. Now let's look at the chemical. Let's talk about the endorphin architecture. The shift is complete. The brain has reorganized to accommodate the ink. But how does it survive the process? The answer lies in the surge of endogenous opioids and dopamine. The chemical defense of the biological canvas is our next frontier. To survive the hours under the needle, the brain deploys its ultimate defense, the endorphin architecture. This isn't just a temporary reaction. It's a sophisticated chemical system designed to manage the spike and maintain a state of calm amid the trauma. It's the body's natural way of muting the battle. The brain releases endogenous opioids, natural painkillers that bind to the same receptors as morphine. This surge creates a state of euphoria that collectors call the tattoo high. It's a rhythmic chemical blanket that covers the pain and allows the mind to stay present. Dopamine joins the mix, reinforcing the reward aspect of the experience. The brain begins to associate the needle with this massive chemical reward. For some, this turns a grueling session into a meditative, even addictive state of consciousness. The good pain is chemically reinforced. This high is more than just a buzz. It's a functional state. It allows a collector to endure the unendurable. But how this system works depends entirely on your history with the needle. There is a massive difference between a first-timer and a veteran. A first-timer's brain is in survival mode, flooded with acute adrenaline. The body is in fight or flight. The chemical response is a frantic spike, an overwhelming surge that the system isn't yet used to regulating. It's a chaotic, intense beginning. Contrast that with a veteran collector. Their hormonal profile is regulated. They've moved from temporary chemical spikes to a permanent baseline change in how they process discomfort. The high is no longer a shock, it's a home. The brain has learned to deploy its defenses with precision. This baseline change is a form of recalibration. Over time, the brain becomes more efficient at releasing these chemicals. This efficiency doesn't just happen during the tattoo session. It becomes a permanent part of how you handle stress and pain in everyday life. Your baseline has moved. We see long-term adaptation in the pain receptors themselves. They become less reactive to standard stimuli, while the brain becomes more adept at managing the surge. This is the chemical evolution of the biological canvas, a brain that is literally better at handling the pressure. We've seen the chemical blanket that protects the mind. The brain has reorganized and recalibrated, but there's a paradox in the sensory experience: the balance between desensitization and hypersensitivity. Let's look at the 1,000-hour threshold. This brings us to one of the most fascinating aspects of chronic tattooing, the sensory paradox. On one hand, you have desensitization, on the other, hypersensitivity. It's a battle between the mind's resolve and the body's memory. We see this play out at the 1,000-hour threshold. At the 1,000-hour threshold, the nervous system enters a state of persistent desensitization. The needle is no longer interpreted as an active threat, but as a background hum, a predictable frequency that the brain has mastered. For most, the pain simply fades into the background. This is the result of repetitive, controlled trauma. The brain has seen this before, and it has decided it isn't a danger. The threshold for what constitutes pain is raised. You've become, in a very real sense, harder to hurt. But for some, the opposite happens. Paradoxically, some veteran collectors experience the wind-up phenomenon. This is central sensitization. Despite their mental calmness, their nervous system becomes hypersensitive to the needle over time. The signals don't fade, they amplify. Each session becomes harder, even as their mental resolve grows stronger. In central sensitization, the dorsal horn of the spinal cord begins to wind up. It amplifies incoming signals instead of muffling them. This is the body's way of saying it has had enough, even if the mind is ready for more. It's a pure biological rebellion against the intentional trauma. Through all of this, the brain maintains a critical distinction between good pain and bad pain. One is a choice, an evolution. The other is a warning of danger. This differentiation is what allows a collector to sit for 10 hours but still wince at a paper cut. The brain knows the context. The paradox is a testament to the brain's complexity. We've mapped the mechanics, the structural shifts, the chemical defenses, and the sensory paradox. Now let's look at what this all means for the future. We're looking at the evolution of the biological canvas. The collector is not just an art gallery. They are a person with a recalibrated human experience. By intentionally exposing themselves to controlled trauma, they have rewritten the rules of their own sensory perception. This isn't just about art. It's about the birth of a more resilient human. Does this chronic tattooing create a superior functional pain tolerance for everyday life? The evidence suggests a brain that is more resilient to all forms of discomfort. The mental and physical training of the tattoo chair carries into the world, creating a version of you that is harder to break. We are looking at the future of neurodermatology. Ink is no longer just pigment. It's being studied as a tool for intentional sensory modulation, a way to program how we feel the world. Imagine a tattoo that doesn't just look like art, but acts as a biological interface for your nervous system. In the near future, ink could monitor your health, adjust your pain thresholds, or even provide direct feedback to your brain. The biological canvas is becoming a functional unit, a bridge between the digital and the organic. We are only at the beginning of what ink can do for the human experience. Chronic tattooing is the intentional recalibration of the human spirit through the medium of the body. You are the architect of your own evolution. By transforming your skin, you have transformed your mind. You are the biological canvas, evolved. From the first breach to the final cortical shift, the journey of ink is a journey of resilience. It is the story of a human choosing to redefine their boundaries. This is the new human experience. This is the power of the inked mind.
Check the link in the description to visit www.alicetattoos.com for more deep dives into the craft. Subscribe if you want to know how the game actually works.